Hi all, my name is Lee, welcome to the channel. So today I'm going to attempt to make a spinning top, and to do that mainly two materials. I'm going to use a piece of aluminium for the disc and a piece of brass, 10mm brass, because I'm going to use an M10 thread to connect the two together for the stem. Now, the main reason I'm using these materials is because it's what I have available, and since I'm relatively new at starting out at this, I don't have lots of different stock to use, but this is what I do have, so this should work perfectly. I've also come up with a basic design. There's some reasoning behind the design. I'm sure there's a lot better designs online, but this one should be achievable and let me practice different skills in a home workshop. So let's take a closer look at this and I'll talk you through it. So as I've mentioned, two materials, aluminium for the disc, 10mm brass for the stem. The way I'm going to attach the disc to the stem is by putting it over the handle and screwing it onto the stem. So the main thing to consider on here, I want to try and complete all of this in one operation because obviously it's more centered then. You don't have to start moving it in the chuck. So I should be able to cut the handle, the stem, put a thread on it, and then I'll part off, but I'll part off into the point. With the aluminium disc, the main thing to consider is I want more of the weight on the outside. So if you imagine this as a cutaway, this disc I'm actually going to cut the face of the disc in the center just to remove some of the weight from the center of the disc and leave it at the edges. I'm hoping that that might give it a little more balance. But that's the rough idea. Aluminium disc over the top of the handle and you're screwed down. So the other consideration on here is this handle has to be less than 8.5mm so it fits through the threaded hole that I'm going to make in the aluminium disc. So hopefully that all makes sense. First thing to do is let's jump on the lathe and make this disc. So the first thing to do is square this off. 8.5mm hole for an M10 thread. Next is to cut out some of the material. I'm going to go in about, I'm going to keep the disc about 5mm at the edge, but I'm going to go in at about 4mm, roughly 5mm in. So I can remember the cutout on my diagram is just to reduce the weight of the center. So let's do that now. Next, let's get the M10 thread in. Let's tidy it up and part it off. To do some final polishing, I've just screwed it onto a bolt and put that into the lathe. I thought I'd try and do some knurling on that end handle, so let's try that now. Now it's just time to tidy it up and give it a polish. So here's the completed pieces. Take a closer look at these. So here's the disc with the M10 thread in. And the brass centre with the thread, knurling on the handle. I'm really pleased how this has turned out. Looks really good. So all that's left to do is screw it together and give it a test. What I'll actually do is when I screw this together properly, I'll put some thread glue on there as well. Put that through there. Screws on perfectly. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a relatively simple job to do for a beginner, such as myself. You can complete each part without having to take the component out of the chuck, and that's quite important to keep it centered. So I'm really pleased how this has turned out. Feel free to give it a go yourself or suggest different or changes that I can make in the next one I build. Please remember to like and subscribe for the video. It really helps me out. But I will say goodbye and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.